up, everybody? Welcome to the Addicted Hunting Podcast. This is episode number 2. Yeah. My name is Sean Keller, and you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Jesse Kelly.
Jesse Kelly, and you're part of Addicted Hunting, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Jesse's one of the guys that's helping us grow this thing out there, and one of the guys that has a lot of experience, been hunting his whole life, very, very good at hunting, and has learned a lot along with Sean and Cliff. So if you have questions to ask about hunting, make sure you ask one of those three, not me, because I'm just like the outsider that is. I like fishing, and I like to hunt like 3 or 4 weeks out of the year. So, but anyway, my name's Marlon Lefevre. I'm in the studio as well. Go ahead, Cliff.
I'm just going to interrupt. Yeah, I'm Cliff Sully. I'm part of this whole big shindig we're doing here tonight. Pretty excited. We got some cool stuff we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna start this episode off with talking about our elk season and how it's gone so far. All three of us, me, Sean Keller, Cliff, and Jesse, we all archery hunt. Marlon's a rifle hunter, so his elk season hasn't started yet.
That's right. I'm holding it down for you rifle hunters out there. I'm holding it down for you guys.
Pumpkin patch.
We're gonna start off and talk about how our elk season went, and it was pretty successful for the most part.
Dude, I want to hear like your stories. That's what people out here. I'm sure all you guys listening. Before we forget to say this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because we got one of these podcasts coming out once a week. So make sure you guys subscribe. We'll be talking about some really entertaining things. So hit that little subscribe button on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify. And with that being said, Sean, like I said, I want to hear your guys' badass stories that you have.
So I'm going to start off with a couple years ago, we had this great idea that we wanted to go to Colorado and go elk hunting. We had huge expectations, as most people do, and they plan a big hunt, and we're not able to afford to go out of state all the time. Like, it's a kind of a big commitment for us. So it was a big deal. We planned it for a couple years, and we wanted to make sure that we had at least a couple days to hunt our home state here in Washington before we left for Colorado.
That's sweet.
So it left us a day and a half, 2 days.
2 days at max.
Yeah.
To hunt in Washington before you bailed to Colorado?
Yeah, so we pretty much was like Saturday, Sunday, if we were into the elk, like maybe pan it out through the whole day and take a late night and take off in like dark and head to Colorado.
You guys are nuts.
We weren't going to stay. We weren't going to sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
If we could drive all night, then we had 5 guys. We were going to do it.
That's true. Just rotated in and out.
Yeah.
So what happened?
We went into one of our hunting areas that we've had success in before, and it was pretty much
step back a notch, because how was that? Were you guys like, crap, where should we go? Like, should we hit this weekend? Should we hit this weekend? Or did you guys like pretty much knew, like, all right, this is the area we'd scouted out. You knew where you were going opening weekend.
We weren't going to even play around with trail cameras or anything. We just went straight to our normal spot.
Nice.
We usually go to.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we all got off work Friday. We bombed. It's quite a few hours away where we hunt, and we bombed over there, and we were just kind of winging it. It was going to depend on if the bulls were talking, whether we were going to stay there more than a day or not. And we're excited. We're sleeping. We were sleeping in. Jacob was sleeping in the truck in the front seat, and me and Jesse put out our hammocks, which those things are a game changer if the weather's nice. But and we got up the next
chilly
morning.
That night?
No, dude, it was literally so warm.
It was creepy warm.
In a t-shirt at 4:00 in the morning.
Nice.
Like walking around.
Those are the best nights to sleep in a hammock.
Yeah, and that's that. To some people, especially
it kind
of
worried us for hunting.
Yeah,
like,
for hunting.
Yeah, I mean, being that warm
sure.
in the morning, I was like, great. What's it gonna do in the middle of the day? Like, are we working on a scorcher here on opening day, or what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah. Tell them what happened opening morning, Jesse.
So you guys woke up, rolled out of your freaking hammocks.
I want to know what you guys have for breakfast.
Nothing.
Okay.
we usually don't eat breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, rarely. We'll sometimes eat oatmeal. real quick. But
All you guys out there listening, do you guys eat breakfast before you hunt in the morning? Because I know I have to, or I get like I don't feel right. Like I feel sick if I don't eat something at least.
I wake up and I'm like, we gotta go. Like,
Time to kill.
it's about to be daylight. We gotta be up here, this spot right here, this second, bugling right before it gets daylight. That's what we did. We took off and we hiked. We got to where we wanted to be way quicker than we thought we were gonna.
Yeah.
Because
It's opening day, man. Dude, you guys are probably just bombing up the hill too.
it's dark and you're
way
just
faster than you
Yeah.
thought.
looking at a light in front of you and you just take off.
Yeah.
We got up there and it was still dark, so we sat for probably a half an hour, 45 minutes.
So it was just you three though, right?
Yeah, just me, Sean, and then my little brother Jacob.
Okay.
But yeah, we got up in there and freaking first bugle Jacob ripped off. Bull answers. We're like, no way. Like, that's not real.
And that was a first for us. We'd been hunting this area for the last 3 years, and that was the first time that the first bugle we ripped off, we got an answer. So that was pretty exciting.
That's a win, right
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. So we were all excited.
So you went, we got to
Oh.
get this bull?
Oh yeah,
What happened?
we took off and we had to go back down the ridge a little ways to get our wind right. So we dropped off, and it's off the opposite side of the ridge we wanted to head to. But I mean, a bull bugles, that's where you go.
Yeah.
So we dropped down and got in on him and bugled nothing. Man,
After you hike all that way.
hike down there a little further. Yeah, and we're going back downhill.
Yeah.
Get down there, bugle again, nothing. Bull shuts up. We're like, I knew it was too good to be true. So we hike back up, all the way back, get back on track to where we were heading. Walk down a little ways further.
At that point, I knew that we were going to get into more bulls. Just
yeah. I mean,
right off the bat.
we'd never even called a bull in down there.
Yeah.
Where we were. We weren't even to the spot we usually hunt,
Yep.
like where we've got into all of our previous bulls. So we get up in there. Another one, rip off a bugle, nothing. We walk down probably a good mile or two.
Yeah.
So is this Jacob that's ripping these bugles off?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've heard how good of a caller you are.
So let's step back a little bit. So we did miss a key part of this story. So we get up to where we're gonna start hunting, and it's half an hour before daylight, like Jesse said, and we're sitting there and we're like kind of playing rock paper scissors, who's shooter.
Oh yeah.
And we couldn't figure it out, and I'm like, well, it's not my turn to shoot. Like I knew it wasn't my turn to shoot.
Right.
I thought it was Jesse's turn to shoot. And Jacob's like, well, me and Jesse have killed bulls up here. You haven't. So you're shooter.
It's
And
like
I'm
a
like,
backhanded compliment.
but, well,
No, I know.
I was shooter, I was the last shooter last year. So I
Right.
felt like it was Jesse's turn, but they determined that I was shooter.
That's cool. That's cool that you guys can do that because I know it can get heated when it comes to some of those times, like who's going to be the shooter.
Oh, there was a time up there me and Jacob got on a bull, and we forgot to do that until the bull was in sight.
Too late.
And we were only like 19, 20 at the time, and it was like, so we're over there fighting with each other, rock paper scissors. I win, so he's going, no, best 2 out of 3. And I'm like, no, it's only 1. You're done. Needless to say, we ended up sneaking in on that bull, and then he ended up running off and winding us. But that was pretty funny. But anyways, back to the story. So yeah, we declared Sean's going to be the shooter. Jacob ripped off a bugle, and he got a bull to answer. So I was like, I'll take the camera. Well, I'm going to try this thing out. So we get down there in the second spot. We get another bugle, and it's really close. So
Really close.
we run in on him, and we run like a very aggressive tactics. Like when we're bugling, if a bull answers and he's, you feeling a little interested, we just run straight in at him. Get as close as you can, as quick as you can. Cut him off if you have to. Just be the aggressor. So we get down in there, and he's kind of talking back and forth, but he's being real shy. Kind of making these weird, like, groaning noises and stuff. And so then I started cow calling a couple times, and he started answering to that big
Which
time.
that's something that we don't normally do is throwing
No.
cow calls with our bugles.
No.
I was really surprised at how that bull reacted to those cow calls because normally like we just don't do that.
You guys
stick-
run reeds or diaphragms when you're cow calling?
I just pretty much all diaphragms.
Okay.
Most, yeah. I have one. I have like a Phelps Easy Estrus.
Yeah.
But
Hangs around your neck.
no, I mean I use it, but most of the time when I'm bugling, I never take my reed out, so it's just like
Right.
second nature, tossing it in. But yeah, he ended up coming in, and there was kind of a big opening to our right, thicker timber on our left, and he sounded like he was coming around and was going to skirt the edge of that opening. So Jacob sets back a little bit. Me and Sean got in there, and he was coming in. We ended up switching spots on where we were sitting because we thought we heard him crashing over to our right. Well, he kind of looped around us, and at that point, he was so close that we were kind of hosed, and I didn't want to move, and Jacob was over to our left, so I just looked at him and was like, hey, like, you need to knock an arrow right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's coming straight to you. So he quits calling, knocks an arrow.
So he was headed straight for Jacob at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We kind of got flipped around,
Yeah.
and so Jacob
Yeah.
was the caller and became the shooter like really fast.
Okay.
It happened in like 15 seconds. It was really
It's
fast.
unpredictable. I know that.
Well, yeah, you heard him.
yeah.
He was over here, and then all them things are so freaking quiet. You don't ever know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Stick cracks over here, and we're like, okay, like we were gonna move over there, but I was like, told Sean, I'm like, no, like just stay here. We're hosed. Like we're not gonna be able to do it. So pretty much, Jacob drops the bugle, knocks an arrow, and gets ready, and so now we're just kind of bystanders sitting here watching.
Just
I'm
wait.
trying to video him, like, and all of a sudden he starts drawing, and I'm like, oh man, here we go.
And we
he's
were
sitting
behind a
there.
thicket, so we couldn't see that bull where he was coming
Yeah.
out. But he was walking out into like some open timber, but just where we positioned ourselves. So Jesse's got a cool shot of Jacob like on his knees drawing his bow, but we just can't see the bull in the footage.
Yeah, which sucks.
Because it's big.
So he said it was one of the biggest ones we've seen. But yeah, he comes around and he sat there drawing for what seemed like freaking 20 minutes, but probably a minute and a half. And then he lowers his bow down onto his knee, but stays drawn back. So I was like, okay, that bull's stopped and is looking at him or something. You know, he's not acquired where Jacob is. So I threw a reed in my mouth real quick and chuckled at him. And that got the bull moving, I guess. And he started to come back towards Jacob again. So he raised his bow back up. And he ended up turning like he was going to leave and stopped him this kind of thick spot. And Jacob ended up sending an arrow through there, through a small pocket he had. And he never hit a limb or anything, but I think the bull's shoulder was right behind a big tree. And he said he aimed just to the right of that tree. And so what I'm thinking, he ended up hitting it in the shoulder. And I think his leg was kicked back a bunch, pushing that ball back, covering the vitals. And when he shot, it was what do you say, 20 yards? 25 yards?
25 yards.
I think is what it ended up being. But anyways, that bull turned and ran.
It wasn't an impossible window he shot
No.
through either. It was definitely a doable shot.
Yeah, it was just probably hard to assess what kind of position that bull was in.
Well, and by then he's been holding back, being drawn for who knows how long at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, for him to be able to even hit it at that point, like, I mean, yeah, it's 20 yards, but anybody who like shoots a bow who understands like holding a bow back, doesn't matter if it's like 65 to 80% like let off. That's a long time to hold back. And like, I'm one of those guys, I have to get in and I have to stay in. Like for him to be able to pull off his bow and then get back in, like I have to go through like the whole process. So I'd be screwed. That's just the type of shooter I am.
Yeah.
So that's really I'm really impressed that he could do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
that little trick he used to like drop your bow down, and I've done that before. Drop your bow down. That'll take you'll start using some different muscles, and it'll kind of relief off of that back muscle you're normally using when you're drawing.
Yeah.
well, and if you're in the right position, like I've done it, you're sitting there drawing, you have to let down. You can just set it on your knee and kind of use your knee.
Yeah, I've never done that. I'll have to try that.
I mean, it's worked for holding it back for a while. I mean,
We're gonna make a video of this.
we can't.
I
don't know.
I'm
Just
a visual
video
person.
of like how long you can hold your bow back.
Yeah,
That actually would
it's
be
a
pretty
challenge.
funny.
New
Yeah.
challenge.
Well, it would be pretty
And
funny.
then
The bow
execute a
challenge.
perfect shot.
Yeah, 20
And
yards.
then who can shoot the best?
Yep.
Dude,
I mean, we've done
let's do
little.
it.
We've
That's
done little
a freaking
competitions.
sweet idea.
That's a
and
good
we'll
idea.
challenge. We'll challenge some other people, some other dudes that you guys know.
Yeah,
and make them do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've done little competitions like just when me and Jacob and Jeff and Brad had been shooting or something, you'd be like targets out there like 70 yards, and it's like, hey, just hold that bow back for 30 seconds and then shoot it. See what happens.
Well, because it's hard. Plus with adrenaline too, like.
Oh yeah.
So needless to say, he hit him, but he
Hit
didn't
him.
kill him.
no, it turned and
And he didn't
ran.
find any blood or
The
anything.
arrow penetrated like maybe 2 inches. Like it was for sure a shoulder shot.
Straight into that shoulder blade. Yep.
Yeah, and we found the arrows broke off laying right there where he turned, and then we've seen. I mean, we were hands and knees looking for blood, and I found like not even dime-sized drops, maybe 10 or 12 of them. And that's it in 100 yards,
Yeah.
maybe.
And we went back and looked 3 different times.
Yeah.
And then just because I know there's gonna be so many different people like listening to this podcast, like maybe they're not elk hunters. These animals are tough.
Super tough.
I mean, they are. It's ridiculous, like what these things can live through. I mean, some of the shots. I mean, even rifle hunters that have hit them, they'll hit them high or whatever. Like, dude, they'll live through so much, and I mean that's all they do is try to survive. I mean, at the end of the day, but they are a very tough animal.
Yeah, no. You do not want to mistake them for not being strong. Like
Yeah.
them things can go forever.
And we have experience in this like situation. We've been here before, and like I can like 99% for sure say that bull lived and was completely fine.
Yeah,
Like it was not a fatal shot.
it's got a nice cut, but
Yeah, he's just got he's got a sore shoulder,
Yeah,
It's
that's.
gonna be someone's gonna shoot him one day or find a bone.
I mean, think about how injured they get when they fight,
dude,
and then think about.
Yeah.
I saw someone posted a picture today. I saw online there, a horn was broken off inside the elk's head.
oh yeah,
It seems like
my
someone posts one every year. Every
My-
year there's a new picture of a
guy we went to well, he was older than me. My cousin went to school with him, but Josh Chilton, he shot a bull this year, and it had a tine, probably 6 inches long.
looked like a unicorn.
It was coming in from the side, but
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it was stuck underneath the skin, right in its head.
wow.
It was pretty cool looking.
That's insane. But yeah, point being, a little arrow going an inch into an elk side is not killing it. It's fine.
And that's just
Oh,
part
yeah.
of archery hunt. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, the highs
we
and lows
shoot
of it,
all
man.
year long, and we try to execute these perfect shots, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Well, like you said, look at you guys plan for so much, and then look how much changed during the calling sequence.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like you guys moved 3 times, like
Oh yeah, dude, it becomes such a fiasco sometimes. Like,
Well, and going from caller to shooter that quick, like he's raking trees, and it's it takes a toll on you just calling, like because you're crashing a bunch of brush and you're making noise,
oh yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's got to change his whole thought process to, oh man, I need to execute a good shot because this bull is coming out in front of me. I mean, there's so many factors. It's
yeah.
lots. But yeah, we ended up trailing him, and we stopped, and we're sitting there. We lost blood pretty much, and we took hour break, started eating lunch. Well, I guess you could call it breakfast because it was still only
Yeah.
8 o'clock, I think, by this time. And we're sitting there leaning up against our packs, and all of a sudden I hear this bark. I'm like, what the? So I grab my bugle and bark back at it. And I think, didn't it bark one more time?
Yep.
And then I barked back again. And all of a sudden you look over.
We
here
thought
comes
we
this-
had bumped Jacob's bull.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. And here comes this other bull just skirting around us in the timber.
So you guys are still just like chilling there with your backpacks off and
Yeah,
everything.
eating a
like,
sandwich. I threw my sandwich. Tell Sean, I'm like, grab your bow. And I grabbed the camera, trying to get it all ready and stuff. And the funny part is we were talking about the camera. So we never filmed before. This is our first year. So it was a whole new learning curve while hunting. And we got told, like, yeah, this freaking mic on top of it, they take a 9-volt battery. Just leave them on and they'll last all day. Okay, sweet. So we're like, we'll just leave it on. Well, we're taking that break, and we're tracking blood. Someone who had to mention about leaving it on, we won't say names
Like
here,
a point
but,
fingers?
Sean.
I mean, he definitely turned the mic off. So,
I went against my own words.
so I'm videoing this. Sean's standing up right behind Jacob.
You have no sound.
Yeah, well, I'm, at this point, I think I do. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. You can see him coming through the timber, like skirting us around this opening.
And he's calling.
No, he
No.
never called. Like, he just barked twice and just started
And then he just
skirting
snuck in.
around us. And I was like, so we're sitting there, and he's going to pop out in this opening right here. Jacob's still sitting down with his rangefinder right below Sean. Sean's standing behind him, getting ready to draw. Ranges his stick or stump over there. It was 45 yards.
Yeah, 45 yards.
As soon as that bull steps out, he just walks right into that opening. Sean shoots, hits him, and he spins around and takes off, runs out, stops. And you could just see the bottom of his legs and stuff, and he's sitting there, and he starts doing the old sway and stagger
The
step.
wobble,
And we're like,
yeah.
I mean, the arrow,
Dude,
when it
he's-
hit him, it was just like a boom. Like, you
Yeah.
can tell it went through the cavity. Like, perfect.
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna fall over right here in sight on camera. Like, you could still see him, and then he just kind of
There was blood dripping out of him. I mean, you can.
he just kind of gets swaying and then just starts walking and walks out of sight. And we're like, he's done right there. We just killed a bull while tracking another bull. Like, this is pretty cool.
Wow.
So, because we were way down, like, tracking that bull, not finding blood. It was like, this is not good. Like, Jacob's like about to cry because he's so mad at himself.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the highs and lows of it, man. Like that.
You
Oh,
literally
yeah.
just went from the low to the low to the highs to the
Literally, like,
highs
we were down
instantly.
and then.
Yeah.
And it goes
People
way
wonder
back.
why people love hunting so
Yeah.
much and get addicted.
Oh, yeah,
to it,
and then
'cause
after that,
adrenaline
Jacob-
rush is just insane.
After that, Jacob's like freaking out, all excited again now and stuff. And it's like kind of took our mind off of, the bad shot we just made. Well, we ended up waiting him out for an hour and 45 minutes, I think. We waited a long time and started tracking him, had good blood for a ways, and kind of started petering out. And then he started spitting blood clots and stuff out. So we're like, oh yeah.
We knew it was a fatal shot.
Yeah.
Like,
there was good lung, like, you could tell one lung, like, I mean, there was good lung blood and stuff. And he went on, and then blood just petered out. So now we're like,
So now you guys are dry tracking at this point?
well, I mean, it was
There
down
wasn't-
to like little specks and,
Yeah.
I mean, very, very minimal blood.
Back to the hands and knees or not,
Yeah.
not yet? Oh,
No,
wow.
back to
that
hand- I was
sucks,
crawling
dude. So
around
this
hands
is
and
starting to
knees.
go.
Yeah. Oh no,
Like now
it's like
we're.
we jumped off a cliff. Like,
Ugh.
it was not good. Like, we're freaking out.
and there was no like elk tracks to follow, like, because there was elk tracks everywhere.
Everywhere,
So
And so we just waited. We sat there by a creek for a long time. Jacob dropped back, went back to his blood trail on that bull just because he wanted to see if he could find more.
Right.
And so he spent an hour over there looking. He came back, met up with us, and I mean, we sat there for an hour and a half searching in one spot. just trying to find out where this bull went.
Where's your head at with that? Like, where were you at, Sean? Like at that moment though. Like, cause I mean, you guys were like, blood, dude. This, he's gonna fall over. Like, you're watching him fall over, and then
it was super tough because I knew he was dead. Like, I knew he was gonna die. So, and I've been through this before, and it's just like I feel like I'm cursed sometimes with a bow in my hands. But like, I've hunted with Jesse and Jacob for a long time, and they're really good trackers, and they were always like, telling me to keep my head up, and I knew that we were going to give it our best effort to find this elk. Well, once Jacob met back up with us, we're like, all right, well, we're going to, we knew the bull went the direction we were headed. So we split up, and we were just going to grid search, 100 yards and see if we can come up with more blood or some tracks or something to go off of. Jacob made it up the hill, maybe only 100 yards, and comes up on this bull bedded down. And has him at 5 yards and can't get a shot on him again. The bull's still alive, but like barely. Like, he's just hanging on.
Oh, man.
And the bull busts again and goes down. And so he starts bleeding again, which is great. Like, we got him moving. So we got blood trail again. We had a decent blood trail again. And we get up to a point to where Jacob last seen him run. And we sat down, and I had tracks that I seen go down and cross this little creek.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure those were his. Jacob thought he went and paralleled the creek down the ways. But we just decided, we're like, you know what? We're going to let this bull bed down and die. We're not going to push him anymore. So it's like 3 o'clock.
I was going to say, this has been hours since you shot him then. Yeah.
And we knew he was going to die. So we hunted our way back to camp. Probably 4 miles back to camp.
Yeah. Well, it was crazy enough. It was like 5 o'clock once we got back to camp. Like,
yeah, we never get back that early.
Daylight? Still?
Yeah, it was still daylight, and we were like, kind of just. I mean, what are you gonna do? Go out and call in another bull?
Right.
Shoot 3 in a day? Like,
emotionally drained.
Yeah,
is a good
we
way
were
to
just
put
like,
it.
let's just get back to camp,
get rested,
hang out, get some food, and just, sit this one out. We'll come back in the morning, get up in there, and see what we can find.
And we were lucky this year because it wasn't super hot.
Yep.
So I mean,
and it got that night. So the night before, it was like 50, 60 degrees a night. The next night, it got down to like 35, like
perfect,
super cold. So we woke up the next morning, like, see our breath. We're like, we knew if we, when we find him, that he's gonna be good to go. So we went back down to where we last seen him that next morning, or where we last blood.
Yeah.
And we make a game plan that we're gonna cruise the one side of the creek down and make sure that he didn't go that way. And we went down, and we ran into like 0 elk tracks. Like, the elk hadn't been down there at all. Like, and if you did see one set of elk tracks, it would stand out because you know. So I'm like, all right, well, let's cross this creek because I'm pretty sure he's on that side of the creek. I just had a feeling he was on that side of the creek because I thought I seen his tracks go across it. And we fanned out, and we started pushing up the other side of the creek. And next thing I know, I start hearing whistling, and Jesse said something. Well, I can't. Yeah.
Jacob hollers at me, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "I smell freaking elk." Like, really strong, like almost dead elk smell. And so but he forgot his wind checker. He didn't have his wind checker on him. And so I was like, well, just sit there real quick. And I was like, I'll run over there. So I ran over to him and took my backpack off. And at this point, we were just kind of in search mode. So we didn't really have anything out. So I had to get my wind checker out of my backpack. And I set my backpack on a log and go to unzip. And I'm talking to Jacob, and I just happened to look up, and I seen like just what you would think is like an elk body laying in this thick little patch of timber. And I just jump over the log and take off running, and Jacob's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, run over there and peel the freaking trees back, and sure enough, there's his bull laying in this little
awesome
patch, probably not even 100 feet in front of Jacob.
How far was that from where you guys stopped the night before?
Probably 150 yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or further.
But that bull had literally like the direction that he crossed the creek literally went that direction and then just laid down and died.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he buried himself in the thickest little reprod patch that you would imagine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, my first elk with a bow.
That's crazy.
It was the same thing.
We couldn't even like dress him out in there. We had to like try to drag him out of it because it was just not even. It was probably 10 by 10 piece of just this thick little patch of
All these jack furs. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, anyways, to go back on what happened with the shot is, for one, I didn't wait for Jesse to cow call to stop the bull. I shot him when he was walking, which is a no-no. But I did not make a bad shot. My arrow hit about 8 inches, maybe 6 inches behind the front shoulder. Perfect windage. But with that bull walking forward, my arrow, when it hit the bull, it hit a rib and it deflected and went straight into the guts.
Yeah, so it caught one lung and somehow just deflected and came straight out, like right in front of the rear.
It was just like hitting a branch. It just
pretty much.
Wow, kicked it.
And
wow.
you'll see in the pictures. I mean, like the shot looks. You look at that shot and be like, "Wow, that's a money shot." Like perfect.
Yeah.
Well, what's amazing?
It blew my mind.
Is that he was doing the stutter step right there, like right off the get go.
Oh yeah,
and didn't go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was insane.
But if you hit him in his guts, he was probably like, oh, he was probably sitting there like, what the hell's going on? He was probably like just getting cut up inside. I mean, imagine if someone shoved an arrow up inside you and started like
and it
jerking it around. I mean,
had
you'd be wobbling too.
Gone, and when it hit, it came out, and we'd seen where the arrow was like, when he ran, you just caught a glimpse of an arrow.
You had passed through then.
Oh yeah, no, it went all the way through.
Okay.
It came out and it got caught. The fletchings got caught on the hide on the exit, so the arrow's hanging out of it. And we ended up finding it. And what was weird is I sure can smell that arrow.
Didn't smell like guts.
No.
And it was covered in bright red blood.
Super red blood, and it was like
dead. You guys were like dead. Yeah.
Yeah, it blew my mind, like,
wow,
what had happened.
Crazy.
There was never in 100 years would I have thought he ended up into the guts on that bull.
Wow.
Moral of the story is you can't give him too much time. I know it's nerve-wracking in September when the temperatures are hot, but we played it right. It was cooling down. We found the bull, and the only meat that we could not save on that elk was the tenderloins. So that's a win. In my book, like, for a gut shot elk, that was a win. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it didn't bleed all the way
overnight.
Yeah.
Like,
we lost a little bit of meat on one of the rear quarters, the femoral artery. Soured a little bit of meat on it, but it was like less than a pound. Like, it was a tiny bit. So, yeah, it was good. It could have been a lot worse.
Sweet.
pretty much needless to say, Washington 2 days started our season out just.
Well, what was it? A little 3-point, a 4-point? What'd you shoot?
Yeah, it was a broken up. Well, it should have been. So we have this bull on camera the year before, and the side that he's a 4-point on, or well, he should have been a 4-point. He's got a broken third. He was like 6-point the year before, a broken off, and there's a knot in the main beam where he'd broken off and crowned the year before. He was just he was a smaller raghorn bull, but he had a crown. And then the other side, he was just a 4-point.
Yeah.
Dude, this bull had like a set of balls on him because, like, looking at the rack, like,
oh yeah,
he was so like just
broken main beam,
yeah.
like
He's just a fighter.
Yeah.
probably 6 inches up from his G2. Broken main beam on the left side. Broken point. Almost every single point had an acorn on it, or he'd broke it in velvet. It's like,
That's cool though. That's a cool.
oh no,
mount.
he's
That's
yeah.
cool.
It's
yeah,
gonna be a cool European mount.
yeah, he's a warrior.
Yeah, little warrior.
And we weren't going to be picky regardless.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a raghorn bull, but we had 2 days to hunt in Washington, so.
Dude, to get it done in
We're
2
never
days.
picky.
Yeah.
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 I got an itchy trigger finger. Like, I will shoot whatever.
If it's legal,
bull
let's do it.
comes in my. Oh yeah.
We're meat hunters. Like we're like 90% meat hunters, but like we won't kill a cow on the first like week, but we'll kill any 3-pointer better bull. You know.
Yeah. Whatever's legal, it's gonna die. Other than a cow. I mean, I don't know. We got late season and stuff, so I kind of hold the cow out till late season.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice that we do get that second opportunity. Because I know there are some states like that's all they get's that early season, and that's it.
Yeah, but that early season is like a month long.
Yeah.
Right,
Not
right.
like us.
I'm not gonna
14
lie. I'm
days.
talking about Oregon. Like, dude, they got a killer.
If we had
they have a
30
long
days
season
in
man.
Washington, dude, it would be epic.
I'd lose so much weight. Dude, I'd
lose
probably
my
get a
jaw.
divorce. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Sorry, boys,
that's
I'm
how
not
me
coming
and
in.
that's how me and Jesse's first and Jacob's first 2 days of Washington went. How did your archery season go, Cliff?
Yeah, you know what's crazy too is we might have to hear Cliff's story,
Yeah.
and we might have to make these people wait to hear Colorado. We might need to get Jacob. In
Exactly. Yeah, we need to get
Yeah.
Jacob.
here. We probably need to get Jacob in here and make all you guys out there listening. I know we've been teasing you with Colorado, and they've mentioned it a little bit, but we're gonna get to it. We promise. You guys got to stay tuned and subscribe. But with that being said, Cliff, you whacked a bull too, didn't you?
Yeah. It was crazy because Sean, before they left, he was looking to get a generator, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I got one. I'll bring it over." And this leads really into the story and actually how it went down. I tell Sean, like, so I take the generator over, and I'm like, dude, I mean, I'm not. I've done the whole elk hunting thing. I'm not like this huge great elk hunter and all that. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like sometimes they, I've never really got them to talk a whole lot, and he's like, yeah, but dude, when you do, like, just be aggressive with it. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to mess it up. Because every single time, like the year before, we had a bull like chuckle like down below us, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Like, just mind goes blank, and I go retarded. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and that night I went to my kid's football game after I talked to Sean, and he's like, dude, just be aggressive with it. Just go in and go after him.
That's what we do, and it honestly it works. I would like to say it works like 75% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a fudged percentage, but
Hey, I mean, it's I'd throw it out there, man, because right now I'm batting 1,000 with it. Like, so, I mean, I'm just going to quit now and say that I'm perfect. But my buddy sent me a text message, and he's like, dude, you got to get up here. The Bulls are bugling like crazy. All right, whatever, So went to his football game. We were up till like 11:30, got home. I still have all my stuff strung out from deer hunting from the last episode. I told everybody how terrible it was. And so I grabbed some of my gear. I grabbed extra backpack, and I was like, all right, D, like tomorrow morning we're going to go. We're going to leave the house at 3. So we head up.
so you're kind of like nervous, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
kind of winging it at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't really know what to expect.
Right. We get up there, and like nobody's moving around. My buddy was up, and he's like, hey, go up this gate, go this way, take your second left, and just head up in there. All right. Like, I'm sure, why not? Odds are nothing's going to be that easy.
Yeah.
And so we
So leading up to this, have you killed an elk before?
I've shot a cow. I
Okay.
shot a cow. I used to hunt the east side a lot, and I shot one out of a stand, and then I actually missed the spike one year. I'm gonna say a long distance, even though it was not. I shot right under it, but so like not. And I mean, I rifle hunted. That's how I started. I cut my teeth on rifle hunting down at the coast. And I got a 4-point down there, and I just always wanted, you watch like the Primos, and you're like, dude, this is how it's gonna be, like all these epic situations. Bull's gonna come in, like be drooling and like pissing on itself, and it's gonna splatter on you, and it's gonna be right there, and it's not.
10-yard shot every time.
Every time, and then
Yeah.
it dies like right there.
Yeah, within view.
Yeah, and like it does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So we start heading in.
Case in point, the story we're telling right now.
Right. Yeah. Not a whole lot to it. I mean, it's simple. And we start heading in. my kid's he's not hunting. He just went with me. And we start going up and in, and we bumped a herd, and it was still dark. So about 6:20, I rip off a bugle, and this bull just hits me just right back, right at the top of the hill. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I took that like victory, dude. I'm like, yeah, they're talking to me.
Especially when they hit you that fast.
Yeah.
That's when you know to be aggressive right away.
Yeah. And like, I'm just asking myself, I'm like, okay, like I've messed up enough stuff, like just being really timid. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to Sean Keller the hell out of this. Like, dude, I'm going for it. and so like, I'm like, screw it. Wind was perfect. And, ripped off another bugle, I don't know, like 5 minutes later. And, he hits me right back again. And I start heading up the hill, hit this little cat road. And like I said, the wind was perfect. And I just creep up on top and like hits me right in the back. I dive off like just a madman, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, how? I don't know how. Like, the wind's been blowing down the whole time. It's still early in the morning. Like, there's no reason for it to be going back uphill. It's been blowing down.
It's something about it being elk season in September that the wind likes to just have a mind of its own,
Yeah.
I think. And I think everybody out there has probably experienced this a time or two.
The perfect situation, yeah.
Oh, you gotta just run circles, like chasing the wind. It feels like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and Jesse, he gets upset with me sometimes because I like,
This guy in the wind.
well, the wind is important to me. And where we hunt, the wind switches every 2 seconds. So,
Oh, yeah.
And Jesse has to remind me on a minutely basis to just calm down. The wind's going to do what it's going to do. We're going to do what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, the wind's going and to your back, hunt your sides. Like, it's all you can do.
Yeah.
Like,
If it
you're going
switches
to
on
this,
you like that, I mean, there's really nothing you can do, right?
it's
I
not.
mean,
Yeah, half the time, like, it's like I'll check it every once in a while, but it's like you're going to this area, you just kind of hunt it from the side.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, the wind was good enough to where it's like, I had my checker, but I didn't need it. It was hitting me in the face.
yeah, blowing hard enough you don't even need it.
And so I finally get brave enough. I hit this cat road again. That's still in my face. I'm like, okay. And I look up on the hill, and there he is just like thrashing a tree. And I'm like, all right, well, if you want to play these games, let's do this. And it sounded like great elk hunter that I
Yeah.
am. Yeah, I got this, And
Hey, confidence is key.
it is, dude. So I look over and I'm like, 1, 2, 3, and my kid's like, what are you counting? I was like, dude, all those cows that are right there. So I'm like, this is gonna be an awesome situation because he's on that ridge, they're over there. It's on like Donkey Kong. I'm like, are you good? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm leaving right now. I'm running, and I literally ran up the hill, and I hit another just through the clear cut, and I hit another cat road, and I started going up, and I'm like, I could see 2 of the cows. I'm like, ugh. Like, I just knew, like, I just had this gut feeling. I'm like, dude, if you don't back down like at least 50 yards and hit the timber to your right, it's done. So I backed down real quick, head up to the right side, hit the timber line, and he lets off a bugle. And I mean, he's like, I don't know, 50, 75 yards in front of me. It's so thick you can't see. So I just rip a bugle off. I just start thrashing stuff, breaking sticks, ripped off another bugle, and you could hear him coming running down the hill. So, dude, I drop my bugle tube. I like draw back. I'm like in my peep, and I'm like, stay in your peep, stay in your peep, stay in your peep. And I can see tines coming through the brush. I'm like, stay in your peep, stay in your peep, stay in your peep. And I thought he was
That's a good shot process.
Oh my God,
you
dude.
have to talk yourself through it.
Yeah. And I thought he was gonna come in front of the stump, and he went on the back side of it. And I had my reed on the right side of my mouth, and I'm tucked down in my kisser button. I'm like, I'm not pulling off this. There's no way in hell. Like, I'll just meow or something just to get him to stop. As soon as I was getting ready to do that, like, if nobody's experienced like an elk being able to pinpoint a call, and if they think that's BS, I'm going to tell you right now, they know where you're calling from.
They have a GPS built into their brain.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah,
this bull turned, went, like, he took 2 steps straight at me. I told my buddy, Eric, I was like, dude, I don't know if the shot went off in fear or what. Because, dude, this bull was coming for a fight. And so I just let it rip. He spins, turns, And
What kind of shot was this?
yeah, this is one that like a lot of people get worked up over. It was a frontal shot, which I've told myself I missed the deer with it. I didn't wound it. I missed it, and I told myself I'd never do it again. And he came around, and dude, in that moment, and this is like 13. This is 13 yards. 13 yards, like with an elk that close, that's a big target. That's hard to miss.
Yeah.
So
On a frontal shot, though, it's not.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I took that shot. That's the risk I was willing to take, and I know there's a lot of people that disagree with it, and that's fine. Because at the end of the day, like, he died, and so I shot him. He spun. He took off. I grabbed my tube that was by my feet while running forward, because I wanted to see where he was going to go. I rip off a bugle, and he stopped, and I could see his tines. He dropped down on this little skid road, and all I could see was just the 1 point, and I was like 7 yards from him, and then he just drops, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, dude, this just happened. I was like, no, he had to have gone over the edge, and then all of a sudden, and I took my phone out, and unfortunately, the video that I have has zero audio because it was raining at this point, and somehow it got into my speaker. So I have now a video of just like real quiet noise and looking like like I'm like in mad panic. But I was sitting there, and I could hear him just making this noise. I'm like, dude, I just smoked a bull. So I'm calling people because I don't want to move. I'm like, dude, I just smoked a bull. He's like 7 yards from me, and there's nobody here to celebrate with. So like that's the hardest part. You guys are hunting together. You're like high fives and all that.
Wait, where did your kid go?
He was still down the hill.
It was like 4 miles down the hill.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. No,
Wait a second. Wasn't there two people
yeah.
there?
Oh, and after this happened, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, this is his first year coming out, and I'm like, dude, I just left him, and now I have a dead animal, and I don't know where this kid is. So like I'm like, so like I don't know, 45 minutes, almost an hour goes by, and like the cows are still like right there, like chirping and everything. I'm like, all right, I'll go down and see if he's right there. Sure enough, I go down. Not the hugest bull in the world by any means, but dude, perfect for me. Like I was on cloud 9. I'm sitting there air high-fiving myself, and I'm like, now what do I do? Like, do I go find him? Do I start like cutting this thing up? Like, I don't know what to do.
Go find your kid.
Yeah, right. I know there's people listening like, dude, you just left him? I'm like, yeah, no, I did.
I think all good dads do that a time or two
Yeah.
when their kids are young. I think that.
Hey, I've been lost 3 different times and had search and rescue after me twice.
There you go. So he finally shows up, and I'm all excited and everything. He's like, "Oh, you got one?" Yeah. And he finally gets up there, and he's looking at it. He's like, "Whoa." He's never seen an elk on the ground, He's like, "Are we going to drag this back to the truck?" Dude, you can try. I'll support you the whole way. So I got a hold of my buddy Cody, who was up there, and he was able to come up, help me out, and boned him out. And got him down the hill. It was about a 2.5 mile hike, so not bad. But I mean, dude, like it happened so fast.
A little
it was like
4-point, right?
Yeah, it was just a little 4-point, and first bugle ripped off 620, arrowed him at 738, and it was done.
That's cool that you got to experience that with your kid, and you
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
hear the bull bugle because
Yeah,
I didn't.
now he's gonna elk hunt like a mofo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's already asking when we're gonna get him a bow. I'm like, bro, we got to get you through your first year of rifle season.
Yeah.
Let's ease into it.
I didn't get to hear my first bull bugle till I was probably 17, honestly. Because I grew up rifle hunting. That's what my dad did, my family did, and
Yeah.
I just I heard about on TV and this and that, and I took it in my own hands to go start archery hunting, and I started it on my own, not knowing anything.
Yeah.
And over the years learning and doing as much research as I can, but. Yeah, I didn't hear my first bugle till I was 17. I'm pretty sure Phil was Phil. Yeah, Phil Rudat took me out, and he's like, "You want to hear an elk bugle?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And we were out camping, and he's like, "All right." And Phil's a pretty good caller. I don't know why he doesn't elk hunt.
Who's better, Jesse?
Je- it's,
Oh,
hard, it's hard to beat Jesse. Jesse's pretty
Oh,
good,
I
but
bet
Phil's
you there's
good
lots of
too.
people that can beat me.
Phil's a good caller. Jesse's a really good caller, and he knows what to do in the right situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Phil takes me out to go bugling when we were out camping one day, and this was actually like end of August, like before. I mean, it's kind of as post or pre-rut, you know. But we ended up calling in a bull. My very first time out bugling, calling in a bull to like 15 yards, and I don't.
Everybody's hating on you right now. What are you doing out there educating the bulls?
Yeah, and I don't approve of that. I was
think
young.
Education has nothing to do with it. The only time you're going to educate them is if you walk right in and bust them.
Yeah.
But people say don't go out and just bugle off roads and all this stuff.
A
A
lot of
bull
elk
does
killed
not
that way.
associate the sound of a vehicle going down a road with a bugle. Like elk bugle.
I
all
think
the
in
time.
some
Elk hear-
areas they might.
super high pressure.
Yeah. For instance, there was a bull last year that you were calling in that there were some guys driving around their diesel pickup bugling, and you could literally hear the diesel truck door slam, truck turn off, and then bugle.
Oh yeah.
And then they start the truck up and drive off, and then Jesse waits 30 seconds, rips off a bugle, and the bull answers us. So, I mean, there is times where I think it does.
Granted, those people were trying to hunt me.
Yeah.
'Cause we were
You
way
sound
down.
that good.
We were way down the ridge, bugling, and they were on the road, and they started bugling at us, and we were like, "Okay, we're getting out of here." Started heading up, and they just started trying to hit roads coming up the ridge and chasing us.
Trying to
all the
cut
way
you
up.
off.
Oh yeah, because there's like four
Well,
series
I
of
can
roads.
tell you, if you got a problem with me educating them, deal with it, because I go do it all the time. It's fun. And I encourage people to do it. I think it's, how else do you get practice?
Right.
You want people to go out and practice like trying to kill an elk? Like
I
go-
think that you can. I think that you could just be smart about it. So if you're gonna go out and bugle at bulls in the off season or at nighttime, because the nighttime's a great time to locate them. But I don't think it's a huge secret.
No, it's
but
not.
Sean
Just
just
don't
his
go-
number one tip.
If you're don't go ripping up the road, rev limiter at 5,000 RPMs, and then bugling out your truck window while your truck's still running. I mean, like, be halfway smart about it. Like, turn
what
your
if you
rig
do
off.
that and you get like 6 or 7 bugles
Well,
back?
yeah.
And it does work. Like,
probably
we've done
guys.
it. Like, we've done it.
Well,
But
I'm just saying that
I'm-
because I know it works because I do it all the time. But at night,
Yeah,
you
and that's
can't. Midday, I've never had it work.
Yeah.
Literally.
You
And
just
me and
don't-
Josh this year tried not only from driving from the trucks, but walking down hundreds of roads. We walked hundreds of roads this season bugling and never got one response.
Really.
wow. Well, and
And I'm talking, we put some effort in big time. And we had bulls, multiple bulls on our cameras. So we know the freaking bulls are in the area. They just weren't bugling.
There's
period.
no hot cows. Like that makes a big difference.
one thing that you gotta realize too is that bugle does not travel as far as you think it
Oh,
does.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why that's what we bugle more often than probably a lot of people like. Honestly,
I bugle probably every 150, 200 yards.
if
I'll
not
bugle
less than that.
probably 100 times a day or more.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean-
what I was trying to explain a little bit to Josh. I don't think Josh is elk hunted a lot, but I don't think he understands doing that, or just he's never done it. That's not his style of doing it, so he's
Yeah,
just
and
never
everyone
seen it.
has their different style. That's just part of being aggressive, like our aggressive
Yeah.
style. Like,
I've just seen it. I've seen it from you guys, and I've seen it from so many other people that when you do that and you stick to that program, people are successful doing it.
Yeah, timing and knowing what to do in certain situations. Yeah, and going back on the bugling thing, like we've gone out and tested it, like in certain I don't know, I guess call it environments, like thicker brush to like changes
Canyons and draws and
canyons
stuff,
and
yeah.
draws and how it echoes. And if you go out and kind of play with that, like do it like in January or anything, if you're just you'll see how those echoes will bounce back at you or they won't. Like, if you're in thick timber and you let out a bugle and you don't hear an echo, that thing's only traveling probably 100 to 200 yards.
But I mean, if you even think about like, if we're talking about like sound and everything, when you think about shed hunting, like this year, like that whole situation, dude, they were only 150 yards, 200 yards below us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And nobody could hear anything. This is a whole nother story for another time, but like it's the density, like that takes, like it'll deaden noise to where, dude, they weren't very far. I mean, you're talking 150 to 200 yards, like.
Yeah, and elk, they have really good hearing, but I think that if you have, especially the country we hunt super thick and dense.
Well, and also there's a factor of just when you're closer, when the bull hears the bugle closer, he's more receptive to call back too, right?
Absolutely, because you're in his territory.
Exactly. So maybe if he hears it up on the road, he's like, that bull's, he's near me, but no big deal. He's not that.
You got to know the language of them too. I mean, like they all have language. Like, there's certain bugles for certain things and certain grunts and chuckles and noises that all mean one certain thing for hunting. Like,
I spoke gibberish at work too.
I mean, yeah. I always did. Like, just listening to a bunch of podcasts and stuff, and other people like talking about elk hunting and what they've experienced and all this stuff, and like, I mean, it's true. Like, if you want to do a locate bugle, like, it's high, low, quick, cut it off, and that's all they do. Just
I was screaming at this guy.
Cut it off. I mean, you'll get a lot more responses to that than you will like doing a challenge bugle or chuckling or something like that. I mean, you could go out and bugle 100 different times and still not get anything, but you get a lot more. Like, you'll notice like a bull bedded, when he bugles back, it's like real. I mean, it sounds like a lazy man. Like, he's just kind of like just a real mellow, easy bugle.
Yeah.
And they'll respond a lot to that. Like, just locate calls, you'll get bulls that'll just be bedded. And that's mostly midday. Like, they'll get down in their beds midday.
Where they're
and they'll
safe,
still talk, but they're not as susceptible of talking as they would in the mornings when they're up running around.
Yeah.
So knowing the language, I mean, it helps out a lot too.
Well, yeah, and that locate bugle, like, you don't want to get out there and throw out some aggressive, like, growling bugle with chuckles to locate a bull, because he's going to feel threatened and he's not going to answer you. He's going to think that you're trying to come at him right away, as where if you give out this, lazy, weak, short bugle, they're just saying hi from across the ridge, and then you can figure out where that bull's at, and then you get in his kitchen, and then you challenge him and get aggressive with him. And that's just, what we've learned,
Yeah. Locate bugles like, hey, I'm over here. This is my area.
Well, I think this needs to be an entire podcast in itself, is talking about different ways to bugle and the language. That could definitely be an interesting subject we could talk about for sure. So
there's so many things we could talk about. I could sit here and talk till.
I'm hoping we can drag out the Colorado thing, because they're going to talk about the bull.
That's what we're going to do. So with that being said, I think we've reached a time limit here. We probably should cut it off and go to sleep, because we all have to work tomorrow. But this has been a good podcast. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully all you guys out there listening have enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to subscribe. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. What do you guys got to say? You guys want to tell anything?
We have so much more to share. It's, that was just a small tidbit of our hunting season so far.
Yeah.
And you guys are both going out this weekend you're going with Katie, you're going with your dad, right?
Yeah, I talked my old
Muzzleloader.
man into getting a tag. He hasn't. I mean, we took him out, I think 2 years ago for muzzleloader and stuff, but
so we're just going to keep pushing Colorado back.
He's a workaholic. The dude freaking.
No,
all
our
he
next
does is work.
Podcast number 3, we will be talking about their Colorado elk hunt. So make sure you guys subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Later.